The following episode is definitely not brought to you by the CIA. Put on your tinfoil hats, strap in, and watch your backs. Welcome to episode 4 of Alternative Jargon. Welcome. Unfortunately, my tinfoil hat did fall off right before I started recording the video, and I'm all out of Reynolds wrap for today, so my tinfoil hat will not be returning, but I hope you're wearing yours because today's episode, you're going to need it. You're going to need it. So, it's been a little while. It has been a little while since I've done one of these. The show is not dead. It's not dead. Not yet. I had some government agents come to my house. They were knocking. They said, listen, we want you to take the show off the air. You're exposing too much about us. But I'm back. Actually, one of them was Will Smith. I'm kidding. So this is episode 4, and today we're gonna dig into some stuff, really sink our teeth into some juicy content. So I'd like to start the episode off by asking the audience a question. Not that you guys can respond. Right now I'm sitting in a room in front of a GoPro. But to get everyone at home thinking, I want you to think about what the worst thing that could possibly happen to you in your life is. A lot of things come to mind, okay. Obviously dying wouldn't be all that fun. And there's some really horrific ways to die. I mean, you could drown, you could be burned alive. There's some really bad stuff out there. In my philosophy class last semester, I learned about the different types of evil. There's moral evil and there's natural evil. Natural evil is like, tsunamis, earthquakes, all the fun stuff that you see get CGI'd in all your favorite movies with B-list Hollywood actors. And then there are moral evils, which are things like murder and assault and all the bad stuff that humans do to each other. Now, that stuff is all really bad. But in my opinion, there's something far worse that could happen to you in your life. And it's not maybe what you would expect. I want to start today with an anecdote. All of my past public speaking and English teachers would be very, very proud of me for this, for using anecdote, a proper hook statement for this episode. Let's say you have a wife, you have a kid, maybe multiple kids, or a husband, for my female viewers if you're out there. And, you have a good job, you live in the suburbs, you're just a regular person. But, you like to look into conspiracy theories, or maybe just for fun, by the way. Or maybe you work at a job that's affiliated with the government or some high-level agency or big, powerful corporation or company, and you work for them. But, you go about your life. You don't really think about things too much. But one day, you stumble upon some information that maybe you weren't supposed to see. Maybe some really bad stuff that whoever you're working for or the government has been up to. And you're shocked. And you're not sure what to do with this information. Essentially, what I think the worst thing that could happen to somebody would be is that they stumble upon some information that they were not supposed to see. And then the government or this big corporation or whoever finds out that they know, and then obviously they probably have to kill the person, right? Like the CIA, whoever, one of those 3-letter organizations, or Nike or Apple, one of those $1 trillion companies. You find out something you're not supposed to know, they hunt you down, they kill you, because at the end of the day, you're just, a little pawn in their game of chess. You don't matter. So they kill you, and that obviously sucks. But not only do they kill you, but they stage your death, and they basically ruin your entire legacy and who you were for your death. And what I mean by that is they make your death look like something it wasn't, or they plant something in your house or on your computer after you die to make it look like you were a crazy person, even though you are normal. I mean, if you think about it, these big corporations or these big powerful governments or little subsections inside the government, they have the power to do all this stuff. They could off anybody they want. They'll come by, they'll whack you, like from Goodfellas, and then they plant something on you, and they make it look like something it wasn't. And that wouldn't be very fun. Now, obviously, the information that you would have to attain to get whacked by one of these people would have to be something major. The first two things that come to mind for me, things like verifiable proof that Hillary Clinton is in fact a lizard person. Maybe you find out that Joe Biden is actually an animatronic. Maybe he had relations with Freddy Fazbear back in the day. There's a lot of things that you could stumble upon that would lead you down that path, which may or may not be your fault. Maybe you dug too deep, or maybe you just stumbled upon something. But yeah, so, obviously this means that someone like Jeffrey Epstein, pedophile island guy, maybe he was just a dad. Maybe he was just a suburban father who stumbled upon some money. He had the nice island, and then maybe he found something out about somebody that they didn't really like, and so now all of a sudden he's a pedophile. Yeah, right. I'm not believing it. Jeffrey Epstein was probably just an outstanding father, a family man. Now, that is obviously a joke. And that is a great example of how when you get into conspiracy theories and you start to question reality, there's a lot of fallacies that come with that, which can lead you to say, okay, now every single person that has had dirt dug up about them was actually just planted by the CIA. So it gets kind of dangerous, and I think a lot of people don't realize this because, everyone's a conspiracy theorist nowadays. I think there's very little people that don't believe in at least something, that don't at least question something. 40, 50 years ago, people probably didn't question a lot of things. And I mean, for good reason too. There wasn't a lot of reason to question things a while ago. We had access to a lot less information about a lot less stuff. And now that we have limitless information, there's a lot of stuff that comes out that people in the past just wouldn't have been able to gain access to through the internet and through social media, and the ability to share your story directly online about stuff that happens to you. There's just a lot more access to conspiracy theories. I mean, everyone is a conspiracy theorist now. It's like going to the grocery store and picking red or green grapes. Some people like red grapes, some people like green grapes when it comes to conspiracy theories, but everyone's got their own that they subscribe to, okay? Some people believe that Donald Trump will be reinstated as president by John F. Kennedy Jr. And other people believe that Vladimir Putin handpicked Donald Trump for the 2016 election, okay? And you have to pick one or two. You can't go in the middle. This is the United States of America. Subscribe to one or the other, or register independent and never win an election. This is what we're doing these days, okay? You got to pick a side, so you better pick a side, okay? And back to the whole conspiracy thing. The whole thing I said about Jeffrey Epstein was obviously a joke, okay? But if you do subscribe to a conspiracy theory, or you do subscribe to some sort of, moral guiding principle, it does get hard, because you then have to stay consistent with that in every aspect of your life or just decide that it's not true. And I think that's one of the hardest things. Obviously, I'm 19 years old. I'm not a wise old monk sitting on a mountain in China or something. I don't live in the Himalayas. My IQ is not that high. But just with my experience so far, because I have fallen into this trap before where, like, you like to have one sort of moral principle to follow in every aspect of your life, but then you realize that you can't because you're just going to fall into a trap. Like, there's very few things that are just you can do all the time and follow all the time. You're going to have to cave here and there, and it's interesting, and conspiracy theories are just like that. Because obviously you can't say that every criminal was framed. Not every criminal was framed. Not every criminal was not framed. Obviously some people do fall into that. So it's definitely an interesting thing to think about. Now, back to the whole powerful people thing. This is something that I have thought about before, and I haven't really seen it talked about anywhere else. I said about how people now have access to a lot more information than we did in the past, and people are a lot more aware of how screwed up a lot of the big institutions and companies in our world are, and some of the practices that they have and some of the shady things they do. People are a lot more aware of that, obviously. Now, here's the thing. The people that are the heads of these big companies and the heads of the CIA and all the other three-letter institutions in our government that like to spy on us and things, they're really smart people. They're really smart. They're really calculated. The people that are the heads and the decision makers, I don't doubt that they're smart. You can definitely question their motivations, though, and why they do what they do. I mean, okay, and this is less about people like Nike, Apple, all the big corporations that we know probably use sweatshops in China that have nets outside the windows so little 9-year-olds that put together phones all day can't kill themselves. This is less about them. That's just kind of evil. But this is more geared toward the government. Do these people have to act terrible in order to maintain a balanced life and maintain things that go behind the scenes that we don't know about? Or are they just evil people? We all know that that the government does bad stuff. If you just look back at history, the United States government has done bad stuff. The Russian government has done bad stuff. The Chinese government has done bad stuff. What happened at Tiananmen Square in 1989? I don't know. I wish someone would tell me. I have no idea what happened at Tiananmen Square in 1989. But do these people act this way because they are bad, or is there something we don't know about? Why is it that the Clintons have people killed? Your guess is as good as mine. I think we can take a shot in the dark and guess why. But it's either, see, a lot of people these days, you either put your full trust in an institution or you put no trust in any institution, or only trust certain institutions and not others. And it's hard to say which one is better, to just blindly trust or to just sort of blindly not trust. Obviously, these big groups of people are powerful, and so if you put your full trust in them, they could make some stupid decisions. But if we all just don't agree on anything, is that worse? Because I think that's what we've been seeing the past, decade or so in the United States and all over the world, is that we've realized how messed up some of these people are. And so it's become a lot harder to agree on any simple fact because there's there seems to always be another side to the story. Now, this is a really stupid thing to think about, but what I often think is like, okay, is there a much bigger picture to the entire world stage that we just don't know about? Every country's leader meets with every country's leader at the UN or wherever, and we always make fun of these people for being stupid and doing weird stuff, and being, rubbing elbows with all the rich, powerful people, and going to Bohemian Grove and doing whatever they do there. But is there a reason why they make the decisions they make? Because I find it hard to believe that, part of me wants to just say, yeah, these are just weird, power-hungry people. But then another part of me is like, what if they do know something we don't? And I'm not saying that to justify all of the stupid stuff that governments do and all the cruelty that they can manufacture, I guess you could say. But, do they act the way they do just to stop the aliens from invading? Do they act the way they do because the world is flat and they don't want us to escape and go to the part of the flat world where all the monsters live? These are obviously half jokes, but if you do think about it, these people could completely control our reality. They could make up everything. And would we ever find out, or would we die before we do, or after we do? It's just something to think about. Definitely interesting, but I think it's definitely fair to say that we do live in the age of conspiracy theories. I think that is a very safe statement to make. And every, the left side wants to call the right side conspiracy theorists. The right side wants to call the left side conspiracy theorists. I'd love if we could shake hands in the middle and agree that all of them are conspiracy theorists, because they all cling to some facts, but they also all cling to some conspiracies, some things that are not able to be proven through facts, but that are definitely believable if you think about it all the way through and think about it for more than 5 minutes. Both sides present some really intriguing takes on our world. But I'd love to just meet in the middle, shake hands, and say, hey, we're all conspiracy theorists. Why don't we just try not to figure out too much so that the men in black don't show up at our door, kill us, and, plant something bad on our computer? I think we could have a very peaceful world. Let's see what we got here. That might about wrap up this episode. This was a little bit of a shorter one. I'd really like to make these a little longer, and I'd really like to get back on the horse, get back in the saddle, and really just crank out some episodes. Maybe be having guests on soon. Maybe. You know who you are. You've asked about being on the show. I'll bring you on. We're going to do it. It's only a matter of time. And I believe that will about wrap up episode 4. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. It's good to be back. Shorter episode. So you can, after the episode's over, you can remove your tinfoil hats. But keep watching your back, guys. If someday I perish and they say that I have a private island in the Caribbean with a temple in it and that there were underage girls there, it's not true. I promise. It's not true. All that means is that I probably figured something out. All right. See you guys later.